Welcome to Piper Creates Chaos. Today's video is brought to you by Ohuhu, and I'll be using their cotton top watercolor pad. The sheets have a 100% cotton top layer and wood pulp base and comes in hot or cold press. You also don't need any fancy materials. I'm using a travel kit and some liquid colors. I'm also using a paint holder to mix the liquid paints with the water, as well as 3 different sized brushes, a paper towel, plus the water obviously, as well as a pencil for sketching. I'll be using one of the cold press sheets, plus these pads have great water absorbency and color pigmentation. So I'm tearing it out of the pad and taping it onto my desk. This way it's easier and it won't move around as much. I'm also fairly new to watercolors, so I want to practice the basics. First off, the more water you use, the lighter the color, and the more surface you can cover. I'm first practicing with the liquid watercolors. You can also see that with one brush, you can make a bunch of different types of strokes and patterns, as well as dots, all with just this big one. Even after you've painted, you can always go back and add more water to spread the color or produce a gradient. There's also the concept of dry versus wet. You can use the watercolors on the dry paper, or you can first wet the paper with water and then apply the paint. I found this is better for backgrounds or mixing colors, but dry is better for details and darker pigment. The wet also takes longer to dry, so it's easier to add other colors. One of my favorite concepts also applies to watercolors. This is color theory. Color theory is a general term describing the relationship between colors and how to choose them to develop a certain aesthetic. You can use the color wheel to see this relationship. Complementary colors are the ones across from each other. That would be red and green, yellow and purple, and orange and blue. These are opposites and have high contrast. Analogous colors, on the other hand, are next to each other and appear similar. This would be cool colors like green, blue, and purple, warm colors, or even red and purples. When you try blue and green together, they blend easily since they're naturally similar. But if you take opposites like yellow and purple, which are nothing alike, you can actually mix them together or layer them and are able to neutralize each other and create darker shades. This also works with analogous colors as well. I can use dark blue to appear like a darker green when blended together. For blending colors, watercolors allow you a longer period to mix. Here I have 2 separate colors, but once I add water, I'm able to blend them together. If you try to add colors while the paper is still wet, the color disperses and spreads along the water path. Once you have less water though, the color turns more pigmented and it's easier to control. Layering to mix is another side of painting. With watercolors, you can either paint your first layer and then let it dry, or you can add the second layer while it's still wet. In the bottom example, both are still wet, so they're able to mix in the same layer, while with the top, it shows how the first layer creates a darker section of the second. The path of water you create can also change how your art turns out. If I make a squiggly line and fill it with water, you're able to control where your next color goes. By dipping it into the water line, it will only fill the squiggle. You can always spread the water beyond the design, but the initial shape is still darker because the color sat in that area for longer. But now that we've reviewed the basics, let's test it by painting a raspberry. I recommend using another sheet from the watercolor pad to take advantage of the cotton-topped front side for better results in color, absorbency, and blending. So let's begin by applying what we've learned with color theory and paint a raspberry. I'm going to use the travel watercolor kit that I have, and there isn't really a good dark red, so by using other colors, we can create new shades that build dimension and contrast. I'll start by sketching the raspberry with a pencil. I begin with an ellipse at the top as the opening, and then draw a line through the middle. Then, I'll draw the rows of raspberry sections along the top and continue down in an upside-down triangle shape. For watercolors, the pencil marks will still be visible, so try not to make it too dark, and keep in mind that you can use them as a good outline. You can cover up some of them, but you want to keep in mind where your highlights will be and light reflection. The main colors I'll be using are dark green, which is red's complementary color, dark purple, which is the analogous color, red, dark pink, and light pink. Plus, I'll be using a white acrylic marker. The reason I'm using green and purple is because green is red's complementary color, so when mixed with red, it creates a darker shade. This is similar to purple, which is red's analogous color. These shades are both a lot darker than just the traditional red that comes in the paint palette. To begin, I'm going to take my dark purple and I'm going to paint in the creases of the raspberry. This is especially going to be in the darker side on the right side. I'm having the light come from the left, so on the right side, a lot of these berry segments will be a lot darker than the left. First, I'm going in with a lot of pigment, so I have a little bit of water, but as you can see, on the right, it's darker, so I'm using less water. And then as we move to the left, I'm using more water, so it makes it lighter. You don't need to put this on every one of the sections, I just have a good majority. Next, I'm gonna go in with the red, and I'm going to paint over the dark sections that I already painted. As you can see on the right side, I'm using water to blend both the purple and the red. But on the left side, where the shadows are a lot lighter, I'm not using as much blending, and I'm having the red stay more pigmented and less purple. As I paint, I'm also keeping the outside line white because I want to leave that for the highlights. Although later I'll go in and I'll color it, it's a lot easier to keep the sections different and separate. Keep in mind that at the top, I'm also using darker colors for the opening of the raspberry. This is because there is a lot of contrast. Think of like a hole. When you go inside, it's darker, so it's going to be darker to light at the very top. Now, for these top berries, I am leaving a lot of white space, and I'm leaving it the majority red. I don't have as much purple on the first 2 rows because that's where a lot of the light comes in, and it's not as dark. I already have a lot of the dark areas marked, so at this point, I'm basically filling in the rest of the little sections of the raspberry with red. Now, I am keeping white space for the light reflection, but as you can see, I'm adding a lot of water to it. So I'm trying to get a pretty even coverage now. I'm adding a lot more water so that the red that I already have can be mixed a little bit with the light pink color that I'm coming in to just create a whole background color. Now that the raspberry is essentially colored in, I'm going to take the dark green and go back over the dark creases and the shadows. A dark green, again, will work well with purple and with red to create a darker shadow and a darker shade. So I'm going in on the right side as well as up near the top, and I'm creating a lot more distinction between the different raspberry sections as well as the different creases and shadows. As you can see, I start going in with even less water and a lot more of the red pigment, and I usually go around the edges of this and also around the dark areas. This way I'm really creating dimension with the little seeds, and also it just helps to bring out the bright red and not just have it be muted down by the water. Something you'll notice is right now I'm going back in with a different color of purple, but you're able to really layer your colors. Even if you want to make it lighter or darker, I usually start with a lighter base with more water at the bottom just to cover the areas, and then with each layer I actually add more of the pigment. I make it a little bit darker, but as you can see, you can really just go back over as many times as you want. Again, in between each of these layers, most of them have dried. At the beginning I used a lot more water and I mixed with that, but at this point I'm waiting for the layer to dry and then adding more color. I like to leave the light reflection towards the end because I think it's easier to blend and color over, but right now I'm essentially covering over all of the sections in a darker red just to make it have still that vibrancy, but Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take a white acrylic paint marker. So with acrylic markers, they work really well with water. As you can see here, it actually starts to spread, and when I put the water, it disperses, so it works just like regular paint that really absorbs water. But I'm going through and I'm adding the highlights as the little dots around the edge. And keep in mind that the light source is coming from the left side, so on each of these raspberry sections, I'm drawing the highlight dots on the left side and a little bit as the outline. But these white dots are still, I'll say, like not realistic. So I'm going in with this fine tipped brush and I'm actually using water to blend it and to dull it down. This way the dots and the highlights are still there, but it doesn't appear like a bunch of random dots just on the side of the raspberry. So as I continue blending these highlights, you'll start to see that on the right side, it's not as vibrant, the white, but it still has the outline and it still has the white shine. Now, once I finish actually dulling these down, you'll still have a little bit of the highlights, a little bit of the dots, but I think that it's easier to digest and it looks a little more realistic. The last thing that I'll do is I'll take a little yellow-brown color and I'm adding a little bit of hairs coming from some of the seeds. You can always go back and add more of the colors if you need any. You can add more darkness, you can add more brightness. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add a little bit more highlight just to some of the areas and on the middle of some of the berries. But after that, you can see we're done with the raspberry. I also want to show you how layering works with watercolors. For the raspberry, we did some layering, but for this table spread, I'm starting with a wet base and beginning by marking out the general color sections. And then I'm gonna add each layer of detail. I find it easier to work big to small. I have a base color for the newspaper and coffee cup, but only outlines for the other elements. I'm using some color theory to build up, like purple for the brown croissants or green for the strawberry shadows. But you can see how each time I paint an element, it becomes clearer in focus. This is honestly why I love watercolors. I'm using all three of my brushes so I'm able to get the small highlights of the seeds to even the paint of the background. I have a rule also to try not to use any black in my paintings. Often artists don't really use black because it's either dull or it stands out in a bad way. So for this painting, I'm not actually touching any black, and instead, I'm using complementary colors or analogous colors to form the dark shades. Because of the way that watercolors show up and appear on paper, I also think that it's fine to not have as many details. I really like the way that the newspaper ends up looking because the texture of the paper, plus with the water and the spread of the colors, it makes it look very interesting. Now you can always go in, this is a fine tipped acrylic marker, so I'm going in and adding the white highlights using this. And after I finish with that, we're done. I think both the raspberry and the table spread turned out beautifully, and I hope you were able to follow along, or at least enjoyed the process. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Plus, let me know in the comments what you want to see next. And don't forget to grab yourself one of Ohuhu's watercolor pads for yourself on their website or on Amazon. See you next time!